Hey guys, and welcome to the video. This one is going to be a shorter video than usual. Recently I've had some latency issues with my network at random times, and I decided to go on the hunt for a simple network monitoring tool that I could easily host in Kubernetes. After trying out some extremely complex tools, I landed on an older tool called Smokeping. So what does Smokeping do and how does it work? Well, primarily Smokeping is used to measure jitter and latency by pinging certain sites at certain times. It then uses RRD tool to graph the information for later analysis. You can choose how often you want to ping a destination and how many pings you want to send when you do. Some of the great features are excellent latency visualization, interactive front end, plugins to allow measurement of latency for other protocols, a master-slave system for distributed measurement, an alerting system, and latency charts for the most interesting graphs. And of course, it's free and open source. After doing some more research on Smokeping, I realized that although there was a Docker Compose deployment readily available on the web, I could not find a Kubernetes YAML file or Helm chart. As one does when this happens, I decided to create my own deployment, and today we're going to be using my deployment files, which can be found on my GitHub, and you can also check the link below for that link. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button for this video. The majority of my viewers are not subscribed. If you also know someone who liked the content of the video, make sure to share it with them. I have more Kubernetes videos coming out soon, so make sure to also hit the notification. Alright, let's get started. Alright, let's get started. So as you can see, this is the same Kubernetes cluster that we built in the previous video, which was a video about running RKE cluster on Harvester. You can see that video. I'm going to have the link for that up in the top right corner. Alright, so if we get into this cluster right here, I'm going to click on JMGlock. Let's first take a look at these files from GitHub that I'm going to show you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to my GitHub, and we're going to go to Kubernetes, and I'm going to go right into this Smokeping right here. And if you actually hit the period on your keyboard, you can see that Visual Studio Code opens up. I like it for the web because it's quick and easy. But let's take a look at this deployment first. Alright, pretty standard stuff here. We're going to be deploying this to the namespace Smokeping with the label of Smokeping. We're going to have one replica, and the image we're using is from linuxserver.io. If you don't know linuxserver.io, I would highly recommend going over there and checking it out. They have a lot of Docker Compose files, and they have their own images as well for some no longer used or depreciated Docker containers and Docker images, so make sure to hit them up. And as you can see, we're passing in some environment variables. This one right here is going to be your time zone. Right now I have it set to American New York since I'm in Eastern time. And we're going to be mounting two volumes here. We're going to be mounting a persistent volume for the config mount path, and then we're also going to be using one for the data mount path. And those persistent volume claims are going to be called Smokeping-PVC0 and Smokeping-PVC1. Let's take a look at those right here. I have them right here. They're very small persistent volume claims. It's just going to be 100 megabytes. You can make this whatever you want. Honestly, it's not a lot. It doesn't need a lot of storage. And here's the second one, same thing as before. Let's take a look at the service as well. You can publish this as a service for Kubernetes, which will give you a internal IP, and this is running on port 80 with the pod label. The selector is going to be the pod label that we showed earlier, and that is Smokeping. So I have traffic and MetalLB running. I might do a video of those later, but essentially traffic has a load balancer service running right now, which was provisioned by MetalLB, and that load balancer is open on it's port forwarded on my router, and so whenever you hit the URL, then it redirects to my home network public IP and to that specific private IP, which is the load balancer for traffic. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to change this when we get in there eventually to Kubernetes. But let's go ahead and get this deployment ready. So I'm going to copy this. we're going to go over to Rancher right here, and in order to deploy something in Rancher, you're just going to click this import YAML button. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the Smokeping namespace. Now if you already have the namespace in here already, which I believe we do up here, yeah, then you don't need to worry about this. It's going to deploy to the correct namespace. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and paste that in and hit import. And as you can see, it's going to be in progress. Now, it's not going to be able to schedule that node since we don't have the persistent claims yet set up. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to do 0 first so that we keep everything in order. Same as before, just paste it in and hit import. There's the first one. And then I'm going to grab the second one right here. And I'm going to import it in here as well. Now, like I mentioned before, and I think in the last video we mentioned this, I'm using Longhorn as the default storage class. So when it creates that persistent volume claim, it's going to be a Longhorn persistent volume claim. So if we come in here, we can see those two, Smokeping PVC0 and PVC1. Now, of course, we have to add our service. So I'm going to grab this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste it in there. And last but not least, we're going to put our ingress route in here, and I'm going to have to change this because we're not going to be hosting it on demo.com. So what I'm going to do is I have a domain already mapped on Cloudflare. So it is smoked.mcglock.tk. There we go. And I'm just making sure it all looks good. I'm going to hit import. And let's check on our deployment. We could see the persistent volume claims are up. And then if we go into traffic, we could also see that our Smokeping ingress route is up as well. So let's go to our deployment here. And it looks like it's up. We could check the logs for the pod just to make sure, but you know, more often than not, once you see that's up, yep, right here, it's gonna be probing 25 targets with 300-second offset, all right. And what we can do is we can go to that URL, like I said before, which was smoke.mcglock.tk, and we should be greeted by our Smokeping deployment. Now what this is going to do is we're going to look at the dashboards. There's a lot of charts. It's not going to have initial data set up ready to go. I'm going to have to show you data from maybe an hour later if I get the chance. But if you could see here, it's going to show you total loss by max, by median, and by standard deviation. And then it's also going to show you the ping to these popular websites. You can change the websites as well if you want. It's going to be Facebook, YouTube, Jupiter Broadcasting, Google.com. If you have IPv6 enabled, it's also going to check IPv6.google.com and then linuxserver.io. The more important thing that I like to take a look at is DNS tab right here. It's going to show you your average ping to these DNS servers. Right now, mine is averaging about, I would say, 13 milliseconds, and I'm using Cloudflare with AdGuard Home. So I usually look at these right here, and sometimes you'll see occasional spikes. It's usually just, you know, Cloudflare's under heavy load or there's an issue. But this is a good way to monitor, because when you click on one of these, it'll show you a chart for the last 3 hours, the last 30 hours, 10 days, and the last year essentially. So it's really great because you can also zoom in on certain hours and you can see at exactly what time an issue started happening. We also have DNS probes right here, which I don't really use a whole lot. Keep in mind, if you are going to host this publicly, you're going to want to add some sort of authentication. You don't just want anyone looking at your, your home network and opening yourself up to possible security issues down the road. So one thing you could do is you could do a traffic middleware for authentication. You could also use Authelia, and I'm sure you could edit the deployment to use some sort of authentication as well. But yeah, like I said, it's a short video today. I hope you all liked it, and make sure to check out the link down below if you would like the deployment files, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.